Okay, we've got a special request by Kyrin on how to model the WeeGirl model designed by Sam. So this is the reference image, okay, and we will be modeling the head in this video tutorial. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to find out what is the dimensions of this image, and when you select the image in Windows Explorer, you should be able to see the dimensions shown here, 702 by 390. So we need to create an polygon plane that has the exact same dimension so that we can texture map the reference image onto it. Okay, so we need to create a polygon plane. Alright, and then inside the tools options right over here, I'm using Maya 2015, so it might behave a little bit differently than what you're used to. So, but essentially it's all pretty much the same. So if you have a floating window, when you click on the option box under create polygon plane, okay, so you just enter the values of the dimensions here, okay, which is the width is 702. So instead of entering 702, we're just going to enter 7.02, and the other value is 390, so I'm going to enter 3.9, and then I'm just going to click on the plane. Now before I click on it, I want the image plane to be facing me in the z-axis, so I'm going to click on the z-axis option, and then I'm going to click to create the plane. Okay, something is wrong with the plane dimensions here, so let me just go to the inputs and see. So the height wasn't registered, so I remember the value was 3.9. So I'm going to click on the value to enter the value. So the divisions, I'm going to change it to 1 by 1. Okay, so remember, you can go to create a polygon plane and then click on the option box. Remember to change the dimensions down. So I'm going to repeat the steps again, 7.02 and 3.9. And then when you click on the plane, you should have a plane that has the exact same dimensions as the reference that you're going to do. So I'm just repeating this again to show you how it is done. And because I clicked on the z-axis, you'll notice that the plane has already been rotated upwards facing me in the z-axis. Okay, I'm going to delete away one of these planes. Okay, and then I'm going to zero out the values in the channel box so that it is right in the center. Next thing I want to do is to scale it up. So select the plane and then press R to scale, and scale it up until it fills up the entire grid. Then right mouse click on it and choose assign new material and choose the surface shader option. Okay, make sure your renderer is changed to viewport 2.0 if you have not already done that, and click on the surface shader. Okay, surface shader tab under the out color, click on the checker box here, and then select file. Okay, click on the folder and go to the source images. Alright, I need to set my project to the default folder. Okay, that's where my source images are from. Click on the folder and click on the WeeGirl texture map. Alright, and then press number 6, okay, on your top number row, and you should be able to display the texture. Next, you want to select the plane and then apply a normalize function onto the plane, so the entire texture space is used up. Okay, once you have done that, now if you are not getting the same effect, make sure the edit UVs, the normalize option box, the settings is reset. Okay, so once you got that done, alright, the next thing I want to do is press W to move and grab the reference and then move it up. Now if you want to change the background color, okay, the shortcut key is Alt B. Alright, so you can Alt B to cycle the different colors. So I'm going to use this graduated color from light blue to dark hue here. Okay, so next thing I want to do is I want to duplicate this. So press Ctrl D to duplicate two pieces. So now I have two planes. Alright, make sure that your plane is facing the z-axis. Okay, so the first plane I'm going to assign the front. Okay, I'm going to click on the first plane and I'm going to assign this as my front reference. So I don't really need these two image reference. So I'm gonna go to polygons mode under edit mesh, click on the dotted line to pull out the the entire menu here. Now since it's 2015, Maya 2015, a lot of the tools for editing meshes has been transferred to the mesh tools folder, mesh tools menu. So I'm going to click on this mesh tool menu to bring out the most commonly used tools for me to edit this plane. So the tool that which I'm going to use is the insert edge loop tool, and then I'm going to insert the edge loop right up around here. Okay, and since this is going to be my front view, I'm going to select, I'm going to right mouse click to face mode, select this face and delete it away. And then selecting this plane, I'm going to modify and center the pivot. Okay, so now if I select the last plane, okay, I need the side reference, okay, as my modeling reference. So I'm going to use the insert edge loop tool again to split it into two, or just to isolate the face which I need, which is this side reference. Then press Q to go back to select, right mouse click on the object, go to face, select the face and delete away the faces that you don't need. Okay, so now I want to switch over to the front view, tap onto the spacebar to bring up the marking menu, left mouse click on the center Maya and then choose to front view. Alright, so you want to select the plane, okay, and I want you to turn on the X-ray mode so that you can see through the texture. Press W to go to move and then move the reference until the center origin line cuts right through the head of our modeling reference image. Okay, so once you have done that, okay, tap the spacebar again, left mouse click on the Maya and switch back to perspective view. Right mouse click to go back to object mode, select this side view and then press E to go to rotation mode, holding down to J, grab the green rotation line and then snap rotate, okay, 90 degrees, minus 90 degrees, like so. Okay, so you want to position the front reference backwards, so press W and then push it back. And then now we're going to adjust the side view reference. Tap down to your spacebar, left mouse click on the Maya and then go to right view. Okay, do the same thing. Okay, grab it and push it to the front until the black center line cuts right through the center of her head. Okay, I'm going to switch back to perspective view again and then push this all the way to the side. And now we have our references placed properly. So when I go to the front view, I should see the front reference like so. And if I tap and then go to the right view, I should be able to see the right view shown like this. Okay, so remember to use the marking menus by tapping on your spacebar. It lets you access all the tools really quickly. Okay, I'm going to temporarily close these floating menus. And right now I'm going to place these two references, planes, onto its own layer. So I'm going to click on the channel box layer editor and then I'm going to click on this button to place them into a new layer. Right, I'm going to double click on the layer and I'm going to call this reference. And save. Alright, so now we are ready to start modeling. Now before I do that, I want to lock the reference by clicking on this button until it changes to R. And we're ready to create a base model, which in this case is a cube. So I'm going to create a cube. So go to create, polygon primitives, cube, click on the option box, and then create a cube with 2 by 2 by 2 width, height, and depth subdivisions. We're going to leave the scale at the default settings, and then I'm going to click on the center, and I should end up with a cube. Okay, so since I'm in X-ray mode, I'm going to temporarily uncheck the X-ray button here, and then you can see the cube with the 2 by 2 by 2 subdivisions. Okay, so next we're going to switch over to the front view, right? And then I'm going to turn on X-ray view again. Okay, let me adjust the reference slightly. I'm going to push her a little bit more to the right. Okay, and then lock it again. So now I'm going to select the cube and then I'm going to zero out the X rotation in the channel box. Okay, and then I'm going to position it until it is right in front of her face. I'm going to right mouse click, go to face mode. Okay, drag a box over the left hand side of the faces and hit delete. Okay, because you only need half of these faces. Right mouse click again, go to vertex mode and start to manipulate the vertices. Okay, until it matches the shape of her face. Okay, so right now I'm only working in the front view. I need to open up the side view to start manipulating the side vertices as well. Okay, so I'm going to click on panels here, and then go to layouts and choose the option 2 panes side by side. Right, in this view, I'm going to tap onto the spacebar, left mouse click on the marking menu and choose my right view. And then I'm going to activate the X-ray view, okay, as well. And then I'm going to turn on texture by pressing number 6. So you can see right now my cube in the side view has become elongated. That means I need to position these vertices in front. Okay, I'm gonna temporarily move this vertices over here, pull this back. So it is a good idea. It is a good idea to keep keep the left and right, or rather the front and side views visible, so you can best gauge where to position the vertices. Okay, so now this one will be near the cheek area. Okay, right now I'm just pushing the back vertices inwards a little bit, like so. Okay, the lower cheek vertices. Okay, I'm just gonna click on one. Okay, let me undo that. I'm gonna click on this one and then move it closely. So if I go to perspective view, you will end up with a shape looking like this. Alright, right now it's still pretty basic. Okay, the idea is to keep it rounded. You do not want to have 90 degrees coming out from the two vertices. You want to keep everything at an angle. So I'm going to pull this out slightly. Okay, so keep it as round as possible, and then look at around the mesh and try to see where you'll need more edge loops. So in this case, there's a wide open space here, and if you look at the right view, you will definitely need another edge loop around here to define the curved area around here. So I'm going to bring up my insert edge loop tool, which for Maya 2015 is under the mesh tools. Okay, if you're using Maya 2014, it should be under edit mesh. So I'm going to click on the insert edge loop menu and then just insert one edge loop here. So every time you insert an edge loop, okay, switch over to vertex mode and start to move them to keep the basic shape as round as possible. You want to get these vertices and then pull it out until they are as round as possible. Okay, once you've got this step done, okay, you want to select the faces over the eyes and mouth and start to extrude them. Okay, so I'm going to pop over to perspective view to show you what it looks like. And if I were to subdivide this, you should have a nice rounded half head looking like this. Okay, I'll press 1 again to go back to the base level. And then I'm going to select the face that occupies, or rather directly over the eye, holding down the shift, right mouse click and choose extrude face. Holding down the control, grab the blue cube and then scale it inwards. Okay, I'm going to select the bottom face, holding down the shift. Okay, move your cursor over the face, right mouse click and choose extrude face, holding down the control, left mouse click on the cube and then extrude, or rather scale inwards. Okay, next grab the face, press W and then move it over the eye and delete it. Select the bottom faces, okay, that is covering the mouth and also the adjacent face, and then hit delete. Alright. Okay, the next step you need to do is to right mouse click, go to vertex level and start to move these vertices. I'm going to hold down to Shift X and then move it until it snaps to the origin location. Okay, and then I'm just going to move this upwards until it covers the mouth, like so. I'm going to change this view into my right view and then make sure the vertices are lined up with the drawing. I also noticed one thing about the drawing is that the smile goes way back too much. So I'm going to keep the mouth, the side of the mouth slightly more to the forward. And then I'm going to pull this point, which represents the cheek, back until it's just underneath the eye. And then for these vertices that form the basis of the eye, okay, I'm going to pull it back until it matches the position of the eye socket. Alright, so I'm going to leave it as it is for now, and if you were to go to the perspective view, and I'm going to temporarily turn off the X-ray view, you're going to end up with a shape looking something like this. And if you press number 3, and you are not too far from adding more detail to get the head done. Okay, so this is what you should be getting. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, so right now we have to use our own judgment to see which area needs more edge loops. Okay, for example, right now I need to create edge loop that runs across the eye, so I'm going to use the insert edge loop and then click one edge loop that runs across the eye, like so. And then press W while the edge loop, normally the edge loop should still be selected. If not, double click on the edge loop and then just push it out slightly so that you have definition to form the brow and then the cheek area. Okay, so once you got this shape, okay, we have to use the interactive split polygon tool. Okay, in your case, in Maya 2014 is the interactive split polygon tool. Okay, but the Maya 2015 they call it the multi-cut tool. So I'm going to engage the multi-cut tool. Right, I'm going to start by cutting from this point and then down here, and then I'm going to cut across here and then press enter. Now the positioning of your cut tool, right, might differ because this is a new tool for Maya 2015, but the function of the interactive split tool should be the same. Okay, next I want to cut from here, from this edge to this edge, press enter, and then I'm going to continue to cut from the same point again, right down across the upper lip and down to the lip, and then press enter. I'm going to press Q to switch back to selection mode, select this edge and then hit delete to get rid of it, and then go over here and select this edge and hit delete as well. Okay, so once you've done this, you'll notice that you have a multi-sided face on the forehead. Okay, so you want to create an edge loop that runs across the head right to the bottom until it reaches the bottom lip. So re-engage the insert edge loop tool again and click on the forehead so that the edge loop runs across. Okay, so the next thing is you want to use your interactive split tool or the multi-cut tool in this case and join the 2 points together and press enter. Press Q to go back to selection mode. So remember this rule: every time you insert all these new vertices, okay, you must start to move them. So I'm going to switch back to my right view again. I'm going to turn on the X-ray view, and I'm going to start to move the vertices. Okay, sort of spread them out a bit. So I'm going to pull this face down a little bit. Okay, pull this up the forehead to make it rounder. So remember this: every time you insert an edge loop, move the vertices. Don't leave them sitting there. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the result. So right now I'm going to insert more edge loops around the eye area. Okay, probably this one I'm going to bring it down for now because I do not want this to overlap the eye. Okay, so I'm going to use the insert edge loop again. I'm going to insert one edge loop too. So, okay, not here, but rather here. Okay, press W to go to move the vertices to shape it so that you have a round socket for the eye. Okay, so I'm going to insert one edge loop that runs across down this plane here. But before I do that, I'm just going to keep on moving the vertices to keep it rounded. Okay, I'm going to use the insert edge loop again, but this time I'm going to let it run through this entire plane and continue to move my vertices. Again, you see, I try to make sure that none of the vertices are following in a straight line. I'm trying to break that straight line. So this is what you should be doing every time you insert an edge loop. Okay, there are a bunch of straight lines here, so I'm just pulling them down so that they'll be rounded. Okay, so right now I'm going to insert one edge loop that runs across this lip until it is below the eye. So I'm going to insert one edge loop starting from the lip here so that it comes under the eye. Pressing W again and move the vertices. Don't leave them standing there, especially the new vertices. Okay, if you do this, okay, you won't go wrong. Okay, so right now I want to insert one edge loop that runs across the side of the eye, so it's going to go across the head. So I'm going to use my insert edge loop 2 again. Okay, and then, okay, apparently I pressed another function again. Let me just undo that and just correct this mistake. Alright, insert edge loop 2 again, then click right at the edge of the eye. Alright, and then remember we have new vertices, so move them, don't leave them there. Now it might take a while for you guys to get used to manipulating all these vertices in 3D space, because you need to know which one is actually behind or in front. Okay, I can switch over to the edge mode, and I'm going to just flatten this eye socket hole temporarily using the scale, and I'm just going to reposition it slightly. Okay, at this point in time, we have sufficient faces, or rather, we still need one more face, 2 adjacent faces to create the nose. So I'm just going to push this. Okay, now this is a continuous edge loop that runs across to the cheek and all the way down. Okay, you can confirm by double-clicking on this. Okay, actually it runs to the end and it stops here because there's a multi-point vertex star here. So I'm going to insert a couple of edge loops that runs across the lid like this. So I'm going to use the insert edge loop 2 again. Click here. Alright, and again, every time you insert an edge loop, it's time to move the vertices. Okay, don't keep them in the same position. Okay, I already done the reflow earlier on, okay, by cutting, so I have sufficient faces, one face here and one face here, to create the nose. So I'm gonna holding down the shift, right mouse click, and extrude the faces. And this time, instead of using the local axis or the normal axis, I'm gonna click on this switch button here, and then push out the nose in the global axis. Alright, so I'm gonna use the perspective view, and I'm going to temporarily turn off X-ray view. And every time you extrude a nose, especially if you're doing half a head, you will have all these extra faces. Make sure you select these faces and delete them. Okay, and then I'm going to select these 2 extruded faces, or rather than selecting them, I'm going to select the edge on the side here. Pressing W, I'm just going to scale it down. Okay, you can use vertex as well. Okay, select these 2 bottom vertices and then pull them up. Okay, these are just a couple of points, okay, which you can easily manipulate to form the nose. And then this bottom faces here, just gonna push it up and create this nice little round button nose. Okay, I'm gonna switch over to the right view and turn on X-ray. Okay, the nose needs to be much further back, okay, according to the reference. and just put it out. Continue to tweak. Alright, so resist the temptation to insert many edge loops right in the beginning. You must always study your the position of your vertices and make sure that they are in the right location before you insert any new edge loops. Okay, so I think these vertices can go in some more for the nose, because I just want a small button nose. Okay, in this case you don't really need to create the nostril unless you really need that extra detail. Okay, so right now I want to insert one edge loop that runs across the head here, because this is quite plain here and I need the extra face so that I can create the neck. So I'm going to insert another edge loop that runs across the head here. So notice if I don't do anything after inserting the edge loop, it's going to be a sharp straight line here. So I'm going to press W, go back to vertex selection mode and start to pull and position the vertices. You can grab groups of vertices and move them all at the same time like this. Okay, so, and also just to make it a little bit rounder in the front view, I'm just gonna pull it out just like that. And these vertices, I'm just gonna pull it out, make it rounder a little bit. Okay, so now we're gonna look at the bottom of this head. So I'm gonna switch off X-ray for the time being and go to perspective view. And I'm going to identify the face that best represents the neck. So right mouse click, go to face, select this face and hit delete. Right mouse click again, go to edge and select these three edges. Okay, holding down the shift, right mouse click over the selected edges and then choose extrude. Click on this switch to go to global manipulation, pull on the green arrow and then your neck is created. If I were to press number 3 now to go to subdivided mode, you can see I'm pretty close to completing my head. I just need to add more edge loops, tweak a little bit of the shape of the head. Okay, I got a sharp corner here, which I will fix later. But right now let's just inspect the neck. Let's go to the right view and see, turn on X-ray. Okay, the vertices here definitely needs to be pushed back some more. So I'm selecting this group of vertices and I'm going to push it back. This one should be fine. And grab these vertices here and push it in. Okay, so I'm going to, since I'm in subdivided mode now, I can grab groups of vertices and move them around to get them to fit the reference drawing. So because I just need this little button nose, I'm just going to adjust it slightly. These points, I'm just going to pull it in some more. Okay, so far so good. Okay, I'm happy with the result. Okay, just doing some tweaking here and there. And if you press number 1, the base level of this head is still relatively low. Okay, so right now we need to create a number more of edge loops, okay, to form the mouth. All right, the mouth area. So just click on insert edge loop and then click one more edge loop right about here. Okay, while the edge loop is still being selected, you can press W and then pull it out a little bit so that you have some lip definition. Okay, in order to check what the lip looks like, you can switch off the X-ray view and then press number 3 and go to perspective view and then just inspect to see how the lip is coming out. Okay, of course we need to select these edges, okay, and then position them closer to one another. Okay, I'm just going to go in close and then just try to reposition the edges until they are almost touching one another. Okay, should you want to, you can actually select the open edge. Okay, if I press number 1, you can see that we still have a open edge for the lip. So I'm going to show you a trick that you can select the open edge very quickly. Right mouse click, go to edge mode, select this edge, and then holding down to shift again, select the edge at the bottom, holding down shift, select the bottom, double click, and the entire edge, right, the opening will be selected. You will not be selecting the outer edges. Alright, so next thing is you want to extrude another set of faces inwards, holding down to shift, right mouse click, and select extrude edge, click on the switch, and then pull it back inwards like so. So when you subdivide it, you have a very nice lip definition. Okay, you can see that the mouth is closed, but I want some more lip definition, so you can insert one more edge loop in between these faces. Okay, while it's being selected, press W and pull it out in the Z-axis. Okay. And remember early on, because this is actually the 4th time I'm modeling this head, so I'm avoiding the side reference where the smile is going all the way back, because if you use that as a reference, right, you will end up having the face, or rather the mouth, having almost a beak-like appearance, or what I call almost like a V shape. Okay, right now I'm just pulling these vertices outwards a little bit more, so to give it some lip definition. And these vertices here, I'm just gonna pull it to give it a more rounded look, so that it has a much nicer and almost softer look to it, a fleshy look to it. So this needs a bit of time to manipulate it until you get it to look right. So sometimes you might need to go to perspective view, and then under the transform, the move tool, use the normal axis instead. Okay, the normal axis will be able to pull out in the correct axis to give you a nicer lip definition. And notice for this iteration of model, I am using less subdivisions because I want to make sure the shapes is correct first before I increase the subdivisions. So the good thing about using normals is that you can really inflate, alright, the mesh very nicely. Okay, it's almost like inflating a balloon. Alright. So if I want to, I can insert one more edge loop here if I need to have more adjustment resolution. Okay, right now I need another edge loop that runs across the eye socket. Now before I do that, I'm just going to create a sphere, create a polygon sphere. Okay, and I'm just going to use the default values, and I'm going to plant it, create it at the Z-axis. So I'm going to go to my front view, and then I'm going to click right over here to create the eyeball. Okay, I need to now when you're going back to move mode again, make sure you switch the move back to object, otherwise you won't see the manipulator. Okay, go to the right view, and then I'm gonna pull out the eye until it sticks out like so. Turn on X-ray view, and then I'm gonna pull it back a little bit, and then I'm going to perspective view again and turn off X-ray. Okay, and then for this I'm going to turn off the X-ray as well, but this time I'm going to press number 4 to go to wireframe, and so that I can have access to these vertices. So I'm going to grab the vertices and just push and pull them until they seem to, okay, make sure you select the correct vertices, just position them in the Z-axis, can push it up or down, and okay, push and pull the vertices. Okay, I've got to reposition these vertices so that her eye will show up properly. So this will probably need a bit of time to tweak. Okay, That's why the perspective, or rather the but the perspective view is so useful. Okay, I'm gonna turn on the textured mode and then just roughly position where I think the eye ideally should be. Okay, so this is taking a bit more time. Okay, because I want to make sure that the skin of the eye flows around the eyeball. Okay, I'm fairly satisfied with this. So now I want to do a test to connect both halves together. So I'm going to press number 4 to go to wireframe mode, and I'm just going to grab a selection box over the central vertices, and then I'm going to press R and scale them until it's completely flat. Now, okay, I forgot to do one very important thing. That is to save. Okay, please remember to save your file. Okay, I've had an instance where I modeled the entire head and I was like 90% complete and the computer crashed. So, or rather the software crashed. So I'm going to save one scene now. And I'll call it WeeGirl Head Modeling Demo. And save. Okay, so right now I'm just going to select this head, go to Edit Duplicate, Special, and then click on the option box. I want to create an instance. Okay, and then I'm going to put a -1 in the x-axis and duplicate special. Okay, and you can see despite the relatively low amount of face count, this is still looking pretty good. Okay, from this angle you can see that the lip still needs a bit of puffing up. So what I can do is I can select these group of vertices right about here. Okay, make sure that you do not select any vertices behind. So if you have accidentally selected, holding down the control, left mouse click, okay, to deselect them. And then I'm just going to pull this out a bit more. And then these vertices here, again, I want to check the back, make sure that no vertices at the back is selected. And then pull it out a bit more so that she has a much rounded looking lip. Okay, and so far it still looks pretty good. Okay, the only problem is the back of my head here, it looks a little bit how should I say, it is a bit angular. Right, so what I can do is I can select these edges. Alright, select these edges, holding down the shift over the selected edges and use the slide edge tool and middle mouse click to slide the edges back. So right now I have a much rounded back. In fact, I can grab these edges as well. Okay, holding down the shift, right mouse click and use the slide edge tool and the middle mouse click to slide it out to really spread out so that the back is much rounder. Okay, so I'm much more happier with this result. Okay, I'm going to temporarily... Okay, I forgot all about the edge loop around the eye here. So I'm going to insert one edge loop that runs across here. Okay, and then I'm going to use scale to, while it's still being selected, to scale it down slightly, ever so slightly. Okay. And so the head is more or less done. Okay, at least the basic part of the head. Okay, if you need more details, you just insert more edge loops. Right, so I'm going to select this half. I'm going to delete it away because I want to create another copy to join it together. Okay, I'm going to go to File and Increment and Save a version. So in case I mess up this version. Okay, so now I'm going to edit, duplicate special, Okay, rather than using the mirror and merge mesh, I'm gonna just duplicate a copy. Okay, and then I'm just gonna combine these two halves together. Select these two halves and go to mesh and then combine. Okay, let me click on combine. Okay, there is no merge vertices option here, and then I'll just apply. Okay, right now this is considered a single object, but the center seam is still not connected yet, because if you go to drag a box over these vertices under my HUD, polygon HUD, show that two vertices are selected. So I'm going to go to the front view again in the wireframe mode. I'm going to drag a selection box over the central vertices. Okay, and then I'm going to press R to go to scale, and I'll try to force and scale them in the flat axis, in this case the x-axis, until the vertices are sitting on top of one another. Then I'm going to apply a merge function, the merge vertices function. Now the merge vertices is not in my mesh tool, so I'm going to go to edit mesh menu and try to look for the merge. Okay, so the merge vertices right now in 2015 is known as merge components. So if you're using 2014, you go to edit mesh and you select the merge option. So I'm going to click on merge. Okay, so right now these vertices are now, those vertices sitting on top, two vertices sitting on top of each other will be merged into one. So if I drag a box over these vertices, it will be still registering as one. So if you've done your merging correctly, you should not have a seam running through the head anymore. Okay, so I have this very slight bump here. So in order to smooth out this area, I'm going to show you another tool, okay, which is called the sculpt mesh tool. Okay, so select the mesh first, select the head mesh and go to mesh, and then choose the, okay, they probably moved it somewhere else now. Okay, the sculpt geometry tool is no longer there. Let's see, offset, yeah, so they moved the sculpt geometry tool to mesh tools in Maya 2015, so it's under mesh tools now. So I'm going to enable sculpt geometry tool, and I'm going to choose the smooth function. Okay, so maximum displacement right now is at level 1, which is very high. I'm going to bring down the value to about maybe 0.17. And as you move your cursor over the mesh, it shows this symbol here. So this is actually the brush size. Holding down to the B and middle mouse clicking and dragging left and right will adjust the brush size. Okay, holding down to M and middle mouse clicking and dragging will adjust the strength of the displacement. Okay, so once you've done that, okay, you want to try to turn off the wire mesh. So under display in your sculpt geometry tools options, okay, you want to uncheck show wireframe. So as I rotate around the mesh, you can see there's an obvious bump here. So I'm going to move my sculpt geometry tool in the smooth function and start to smooth it out. Okay, if the smooth strength is still too high, holding down to M and then middle mouse click, and I'm going to reduce it even more. Okay, I do not want to smooth this too much. Okay, so right now I'm just trying to smooth out all the edges. Okay, I forgot to turn on one more thing. That is your reflection. Okay, you should turn on the stroke. Under stroke, there is this thing called reflection axis. So turn on reflection so that whatever you do on the right side will be reflected on the left side. So I didn't turn that on just now. So right now I'm using this to smooth out my face. Okay, so once you're done with that, okay, so you can exit from the sculpt geometry tool, and I'm going to try to add some color to the eyeball. So I'm going to go to face for this sphere, and then I'm going to use the brush selection to select the center faces Okay, gonna paint and select the center. Okay, right now I'm in edge mode. I need to go to face mode. Okay, so paint and select the central faces, then holding down the shift and the period key, or shift period, shift full stop to increase the selection. Okay, then press Q to go to selection. Right mouse click over the selected faces and assign a new material. I'm going to give it a Lambert material. And then go over to your, I'm going to close these menus. Go to the Lambert material and give it a black iris color. Then holding down to Control Shift I, you invert the selection. Hover your cursor over the selection, right mouse click and assign a new material, also a Lambert material, and I'm going to make this into its eye white. So right now you have a big eye with a eye white. I'm going to select this eyeball and press Ctrl D to duplicate and shift the other eye to the other eye socket. Now select the face, or rather the head, right mouse click and assign a new material. I'm going to give it a Lambert as well, and then I'm going to give it a flesh tone color. And essentially the basics of your head is done. Of course, there are still some more tweaking that needs to be done, but this is how you model the WeeGirl head. I have not done the rest of the head, but this is the basis of the head. Okay, all you need to do is just model the ear and stick it there, and also the rest of the components like the hair. And then once you are done, then you're ready to start modeling the rest of the body. Okay, so I hope this tutorial will show you enough information to finish this head. Okay, you have to thank Kyrene for suggesting me to make this video. Alright, thanks for watching.